Hey, we're back, part two. Talk a little college baseball, and those guys who just recently signed and are starting to head off to make baseball their professional careers. But I wanted Baseball America, okay, came out with an article about 8 for Omaha in 2019. Because, you know, I mean, the season ended, so you
got to pick your top.
You got to already, you know. And what was amazing was Mississippi State and Washington, who were in it this year, were nowhere on the list. And there was one other team that they had, and I want to say it wasn't Oregon State. They had Oregon State in. One of the other teams, they had Arkansas, they had Florida, they had Texas Tech. One of the teams, they had them losing in a super regional, and the other 5 they picked. So they were able, this list last year, they got 5 of the 8.
Well, that's pretty good.
So that does that give credibility to their 2019 list? So I want you to go right now. Who you got on the 2019 list according to Baseball America?
Florida State.
Florida State is right up there. They should have been there this year according to Baseball America, and they got swept in their own regional. You got Florida State? Okay.
I got Florida State just because Mike Martin's last year, and I can't imagine people saying they don't want him to get there one more time. I personally don't want him to get there, but
they have Florida State also.
There you go.
Well, I mean, Florida.
They have Florida. Basically, at this point, Florida must be considered a national title contender every year until they prove otherwise. And they talk about all the dudes they lost.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the dudes we aren't going to get.
Look at this. Talented underclass pitchers returning. Jordan Butler, Tyler Dyson, Jack Leftwich, Tommy Mace, and
I can't read it, but it says Hunter Ruth probably.
Hunter Ruth.
And Hunter Ruth.
Yeah.
Hunter Ruth, big returning person off this year's team.
Yeah, this year's team. He didn't throw one pitch.
But, you know, you got to,
I'm so proud of the kid. They're expecting big things.
Good Gainesville guy.
Yeah.
Hopefully he'll
But
do well.
Baseball America has him as one of the top returners.
Eddie and I were talking before you got here. How surprised were you at and not this subject, at Michael Burns signing?
He was just on the radio just now. I just heard him on the radio.
I was not surprised.
They're going to turn him into a starter.
We talked about that last week at the end of the show. I told you, if
your dream is to make it to the big leagues, he said.
Yeah.
They made me an offer, and they're going to turn me into a starter. And do you prefer starting over? He says, well, you know, when you're looking for an opportunity to play, and you've got Jackson Kowar, Brady Singer, and Alex Faedo as the 3 starters ahead of you,
you want to get the ball.
You'll take any role you can, and I love closing out their wins for him, is what he basically said.
And he gets to play with Jonathan India. And you
see where they're going?
Daytona.
They're going to Daytona first.
Going to Daytona.
The Tortugas.
They'll be the Turtles. And so they get to go out there and play together, and I think that gives you some familiarity when you're getting started. You've got a college buddy that you're going with.
Oh, and you got the fans out there.
If he doesn't sign with that this year, and he comes back, there's no telling who he gets drafted by.
Mm-hmm.
I think a great big thing was India saying, "Hey, dude, come on. I'll fit the bill for the apartment, whatever, you know." And
he's got 5.9 big ones.
Yeah, he's got plenty of change to pay for the rent, wherever they might happen to be. So I think that was a big deal.
Burns going to make some money too. I mean,
well, he got $260. He got $250,000 to sign. Plus, he's going to make some money. But I think if he had not been drafted by the same team with India, if he didn't have a teammate, then I think it's a different thing.
That's the only. I understand, and I get it. I mean, he wanted to. Your dream is to be get paid to play baseball.
Yeah.
And they're offering him $260,000. Now, would he have been better off if he'd have had a good year next year? There would have been another decimal. There would have been another
decimal point there.
And that's
but you're taking a big risk to come back. You know, if he comes back as a starter, for instance, he has a great year. Yeah, you add another decimal point. He has a 500 year as a starter.
It's the stuff there. I mean,
you just don't know. Let's just say he gives up 3 runs a game, but we're only scoring 2, and he ends up going sub 500 as a starter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is a team going to pick you above where he was picked? As a sub 500 starter?
But do you think?
Probably not.
Do you think though, when it comes to something like that, I'll use Jacob DeGrom as an example. Right now, he's like 5-4, but he's got a 4-to-1 strikeout ratio. Do scouts strictly look at when they look at his body of work in the draft?
The work is meaningless. I mean, I don't want to say meaningless.
It's stuff.
It's stuff.
Okay.
But
That's what they're.
But if your stuff is not good enough to get guys out as a starter consistently in the SEC, you're not going to get that extra decimal. You're not going to be in the top 5-10 rounds if you can't get guys out at a pace to win games in the SEC. That's my point.
That's a good point, because what I was saying is,
Well,
though,
you're facing
if your
big league
team,
hitters.
if your team's not scoring runs for you though, and you're still delivering,
Results are not win-loss, even in the major leagues. Win-loss is not considered. There's too many factors outside of the pitcher's control that affect a win-loss record.
Certainly, because you could be ahead by 2 runs and give it over to the bullpen, and the bullpen gives it up. You know, I get that, but I just think if he had not signed, if India hadn't been there with him, I don't think he goes. I think he comes
Okay,
back.
Right.
so joining FSU is another ACC team.
North Carolina,
Joining Florida are 2 more SEC teams.
Arkansas.
Arkansas,
They
and
don't have Arkansas.
What?
Wow.
Wow.
Mississippi State.
Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt they have.
Mississippi State.
No.
No.
Georgia.
No. Mississippi State and Georgia are on their super regional list of possibilities. They have 8 more that could make it.
Wow.
list.
Texas A&M?
Not Texas A&M.
LSU.
LSU.
I can't believe I missed LSU on that one.
Okay, so you got LSU, Florida, and Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt.
You got FSU and North Carolina.
That's 5.
5.
You got 2 from the Pac-10 and 1 from the Big 12.
1 from the Big 12?
Yeah.
Wow, 1 from the Big 12.
That's there every year.
From the Big 12? Is there every year? Who's from the Big 12?
Oklahoma.
Florida played them twice this year.
Texas Tech?
Texas Tech.
Oh.
I forgot that's the Big 12.
Yeah, I too.
I forgot what conference it was.
Knowledgeable baseball fans here. It's like,
Well, I was
No,
thinking.
it's the conference. I mean,
Yeah, it's the conference,
remember,
right.
the Big 12 is 10 and the Big 10
Yeah,
is 12.
that's what I was thinking. I was like, wait a
Actually, the
minute.
Big 10 is 14 now.
Yeah, it's 14.
14,
So,
yeah.
The names
the
don't
Big
really
12 is
mean
10.
anything anymore. And so the Pac-12 teams, wow, they didn't put Fresno State back in?
Nope.
Wow.
And they didn't put the national champs in.
Really?
interesting. I have no idea.
So Washington?
Washington.
They did not put Washington in. Washington is in even 8 more for super regionals.
Utah or USC?
USC.
No.
Wow.
Arizona State? Arizona?
One was the 2 seed that got upset this year in their super regional.
Who was that?
Stanford.
Oh,
And one is in UCLA.
wow. I think they're off on those.
And the 8 more for the super regionals to give you your 16 that are in super regionals.
Whoa.
Baylor, East Carolina,
Earthquake.
Georgia, Louisville,
Earthquake.
Michigan, Mississippi State, Oregon State, and not Fresno, but UC Irvine,
Wow, the
Wow.
Dirtbags.
That's interesting.
the Dirtbags. So it was a good college baseball season. Arizona, Oregon State, I mean, I'll tell you what. You lose in your regional, come back out of the losers bracket. You lose in the College World Series, come back out. You lose in the final 2 out of 3 and come back again.
Yeah.
I think, with the exception of the first game of every series, they were playing elimination game. I'm not kidding you. I think it was like 13 elimination games. Maybe I'm exaggerating. 9 elimination games. It was something.
They won a bunch. They won them all.
They won them all.
They won them all. They didn't get eliminated. They kept alive. They were the last team standing. That's a pretty good year all the way around for college baseball. I think it was exciting. I think baseball, in the MLB is getting to the exciting point. You had yesterday.
One
With
thing
July
real quick
4th.
before you go to 4th of July, which I really did like the blue socks with the
Yeah,
white
it's awesome.
stars and the red and white striped socks on the high knees. But you were researching or you were looking up Heimlich. What's your thoughts on that? It's a tough. I mean,
Here's I know my thought may not be popular, but the kid paid his debt. He made a mistake. He owned his mistake. He didn't try to hide it, but it was buried because it was a juvenile offense with another juvenile. And you know, at what point do you say he's paid off his debt and deserves a chance to make a living? He's getting punished more than a whole lot of other people who've committed more serious crimes who get out of jail and get a job. And so, you know, he hasn't done anything else. It hasn't been like a repeat offender. This isn't a serial offense.
He didn't get drafted after his junior year.
He didn't get drafted
after
and
his
as
senior
far as we know
year.
now, he's not signed.
Two-time Pac-12 Pitcher of the Year.
Yeah, and that to me is, you got a talented arm. Somebody ought to take a chance on him. We've talked about it before with collusion, and I'm sure there is a lawsuit pending if he doesn't decide, somebody doesn't give him a shot next year in spring training.
You know, I agree. I think the one thing that's happened with the advent of social media is we've become a less forgiving society. You know, everything's out there. There's always many journalists, always people pointing a finger. He deserves a chance, completely. He paid his debt to society, and I really feel that he should get a chance. Will he? That's the question.
Yeah, I don't know. And if you don't, then what do you say to people who are talking about, well, you know, what is the crime that you can't, you know, forgive or forget? I'm not saying, I'm not minimizing what he did at all.
No.
But the court decided this is what you have to do. By all means, he's done that. He's done those things. He stayed out of trouble. He hasn't done anything else. So, you know, heck, you look at what Jameis Winston's getting a chance to do in the NFL and the things that he's done. And not to say there's a comparison there because he's never been charged with a crime that stuck with Jameis. Mm-hmm. But it seems that trouble follows him. And this is a kid who seems it doesn't, you know, has kept his nose clean, kept out of trouble. I just think he deserves a shot to play and make a living, even though, and own his past. He's certainly going to face a whole lot of issues anytime he turns around. But
Sure.
It seems like right now anything you do has
And if these
consequences
guys,
that go way beyond what normal.
have conspired to keep him from getting drafted
Mm-hmm.
and to keep him from signing, and now all of a sudden someone winds up getting a first-round talent for absolutely nothing, what
Hey.
are the ramifications as far as the major league camaraderie, the owners, is there a lot of pressure on you not to sign, not to be that one?
Is he going to go
The
to
one who broke the mold.
Is he going to go to an independent league and play for an independent league and light it up, and then everybody has to go, well, we got to sign this kid now?
And then it becomes which is the old thing. If it does wind up, which it is in his best interest, is it only right that it becomes a bidding war for him? Or is someone the team that, to put it bluntly, shafted the other owners is going to get something for nothing? Mm-hmm. Will it eventually come to, you see what I'm saying? I mean,
I know. I don't know. It's a hard thing. I know it's a real tough issue, and I've got a daughter, and I can only imagine how I would feel if that were
6 years old.
My daughter.
That's the. I mean.
Yeah, I mean it's a not a good thing. It's a bad thing that he did. But again, if he's learned from it and moved on, he hasn't seemed to be a threat to any females on campus. There hasn't been any allegations of that. Seems like he learned his lesson and has moved on from that, but he can't move on when everybody's holding it over his head all the time of what happened when he was, 14, 12?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And, as a teenager, he made a terrible, horrible mistake. So I don't know. I don't. It's a tough thing. I don't know how.
So
to feel
4th of
about
July,
that.
did you watch some baseball yesterday?
I did watch some baseball yesterday and loved all the uniforms and all the
blue Cardinals.
I loved all
The
of
Red Pirates.
everybody's red, white, and blue, and I thought those were really cool unis. And heck, I would even buy one of those if I were buying unis. Like I don't wear
the Cardinals,
jerseys.
the blue Cardinals with the stars on them would be. I thought
It was
those
really
were
nice.
really cool.
I thought it was a great idea for Major League
And
Baseball.
was
to
it
have it.
optional because it seemed like only one or two guys on every team had the high socks?
I'm sure it was. Some
Like
guys
they
just,
told who to do it, or
I
guys volunteered.
think guys just decide, hey, I
I'll
want to
go
wear
high, and if you're going to go high, that's what you wore.
Yeah.
Regardless of what team you were on.
Right. I'm sure that was an MLB stipulation. You can either wear your pants down in these color socks, or if you're wearing them high, you're wearing these color socks. So, MLB does that kind of stuff with all their uniform things. The Phillies had to wear a different uniform the other night because one of their players, the guy that got hit in the face and got hurt, I forget his name, he didn't have a helmet. in the right color. The provider with the double face mask had not provided one in the right color, so the Phillies had to wear a different uniform that night because it wouldn't go with the helmet. Yeah, and I mean that's how it is with MLB. So they're pretty good. Hey, we're out of time.
Are we?
We're past.
Mandarin, Ramada Inn, come see the show.
He's got good cards. Spent some
great
time
show.
sorting them
Ramada
out.
Dealers, Jacksonville Sports Cards does a great job, and we're thankful to them for putting a show on North Florida because no one else does.
Is that one of our sponsors?
They will be today because Frank and Mike, go see them in Cass Avenue, Jacksonville Sports Cards. They're really good guys. And come see us at the Ramada Mandarin this weekend.
And look, we got a live studio audience.
Unbelievable.
Seats for a live studio audience.
Yeah, we'll fill them in somewhere. If we don't, I'm telling you, you guys got to start watching. Tell your friends to watch, or otherwise, we're going to get the axe. Hey, we'll see you. We'll be sent to we'll be relegated to the non-league. Relegated like the Premier League. That would be great if baseball teams got relegated like soccer teams. But we'll talk about that maybe next week. We'll see you guys.
Bye-bye. We're not going to talk about it.